Welcome, Bout Betters. Welcome, Bout Betters. Welcome to MMA Sip and Smoke Coffee Talk with the Bout Better, where we just sound off on all kinds of things we just want to talk about while having some coffee. Have some coffee, you'll feel better. Welcome, Bout Betters. Well, as the title shows, and as this the JPEG up there, we are going to discuss top current MMA weirdos, mainly in the UFC. There's plenty of weirdos because everybody knows you have to be a weirdo to fight in the UFC, to do MMA, to participate in MMA, and you got to be a weirdo to talk about it. So I'm a weirdo too. We could do a different piece on MMA commentary and YouTube weirdos. We know there are a lot of those too. I mean, there's Jesse on Fire. There's the MMA Guru. There's Ariel Helwani. We got a whole. There's me, Roberto, the Bout Better. We know that there are a bunch of weirdos out there, and today we're going to cover some of the top current UFC weirdos in today's version, or in today's thing of MMA, or actually Coffee Talk with the Bout Better. So welcome, Bout Betters. Just a little hint here, there is sort of an order to these weirdos, to all these we're all degenerate gamblers, and we're all degenerates that are involved in this game here of MMA. All right, we are getting connectivity here. We are getting connectivity. So I might have missed a bunch. I'm just doing, I mean, if we did a whole history of guys and including women, I probably should have found some women in this as well that participated in MMA that are just weirdos. We could definitely have found plenty of women that are weirdos in that. Who would be number one as a woman weirdo? Would it be Ronda Rousey? Juliana Pena? Who's gonna win I mean, Juliana Pena gotten some. She's a interesting girl. There are plenty others, right? Or Chris Cyborg, but she technically was in the UFC for a moment, and she might have gotten still has a UFC contract. She might still be on the hook for the UFC. I don't know if she just did a one and done, but yeah, she might be on the list. If we did an all-time list, man, there's so many people, or even retired list of the retired fighters in the UFC that are still participating in MMA in some way. I would put probably like Rampage Jackson maybe at the top, or Diego Sanchez. But Diego Sanchez really doesn't have any participation any longer in the UFC. Maybe we would put Chael Sonnen or even Michael Bisping in there. But I think just like somebody on this list here, their weirdness or strangeness is shtick. Like, I don't know in their personal lives if they really are just strange. Also, some of the people that we just don't want to put in there as just being criminals, because you're being a criminal like John Kopenhauer or maybe Luis Pena doesn't make you a weirdo. You're a criminal, right? And you could be weird like that the guy who played Random Task or whatever in the Asian dude who went to jail for like imprisoning people and doing crazy shit to people. And then we got all the Japanese dudes, or Fedor Emelianenko's brother, for example, who's a rapist, weirdo. I shouldn't have said rape, but whatever. It is what it is. I mean, he's a criminal. Mayhem Miller would have definitely made the top 5, top 3 weirdos in MMA, period. Like Mayhem Miller, Diego Sanchez, people like, Charles Crazy Horse Bennett. You got to put Charles Crazy Horse in there. John Kopenhauer I mentioned. Then there's of course some Japanese people and Minowa, Gono. I don't think we're gonna put too many other Japanese folks in there because I think some of their stuff could be shtick, right? Like some of the other ones that we could honorable mention here in the UFC. Did I put him in there? We did put one. Other than what's his name? What did I put? I put him in here. Did I put his? No, I didn't actually make a placard for him, so he got spared. But we're gonna mention him anyways. Where is he? Where did I put his name here? Oh, Bobby Green could be honorable mention, right? Bobby Green is a strange cat, man. He's a strange dude. Interesting upbringing, but that doesn't necessarily make him strange. He's just a strange guy. But you see him here. God, where's his name? He fought Ryan Hall. Did he beat Ryan Hall? It's man. I didn't actually make a placard for him. So we're gonna go through and discuss some of these guys here. Jordan Levitt. Yeah, Jordan Levitt. But he's a strange one, right? But can we throw Chris Curtis in there? You know, because of Jordan Levitt. If we throw Jordan Levitt in there, are we going to throw Chris Curtis in there? But welcome, Bout Betters. Let me get myself into the screen. So I should have wore some craziness here. Welcome. Yes. Yes, it's your weirdo. It's your weirdo, the Bout Better. Weirdo MMA commentator. Weirdo product and political commentator. It's your weirdo, the Bout Better. Welcome, Bout Betters. Yeah, so you got me here. Let me put myself... Where is my background? Let me put myself with the background here. You don't need this thing. Right? I got my... Where are those things? I put myself up there. Dun, 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 dun. Interesting. I guess I put it here, but that's okay. We're going to figure all this out, guys. We're going to figure all this out. Oh, banner. There we go. Banner. Let's see if that works. But welcome, Bout Betters. Yeah, let me know if you guys come in the, you know, or just happened upon this content. Put your weirdos in the screen. I mean, in the comment section. I mean, there are people that I have missed, right? Even current MMA fighters. Okay, there we go. Boom, and then there goes me. Then there's me. Yeah. Then there's I. Let me put myself before the banner. Come on. There we go. Before the banner. Welcome, Bout Betters. Where are my little two corner things here? It's all right, people. We're getting there. We're just having fun. We're just having fun. Have some coffee. You'll feel better. Have some coffee, people. You'll get over some of this technical stuff. And we got time, you know? We got time here. Have some coffee. You'll feel better. Come on, you piece of... There we go. There we go. One of them. Can I copy that? Let me see if it lets me duplicate that. No, let me see here. Let me see here. Yeah, look at that, man. Fuck, I can do that. Wow, that's cool. Just learned something on the fly, people. Look at that. Look at that, man. Yeah, duplicated it just like that. Boom. Boom. Technology. That's why I don't want to quit this YouTube thing here. Making content, because the better I get at OBS, the better I get at this stuff. It's just, I just learn it, you know. I just learn it, you know. Get my weird on. I could get stranger. As I get more powerful, as I get more of an audience, I could just get more weird. I have people, you know, and that's interesting too. I mean, like, I wonder, and I'm gonna argue that everybody we discussed today, they were weird before they were in MMA. I mean, you look at most of the historically, even the Mayhem Miller, boy was strange, like historically before he got in MMA, right? Diego Sanchez, weird before he got in MMA, right? People like Bob Sapp, weird before he got in MMA, right? We could throw El Guapo in there, right? El Guapo, you know, folks that fought in Pride, weird before they got in MMA. Rampage Jackson was weird before he got in MMA. Bob Sapp was weird before he got in MMA. You know, Crazy Horse Bennett was weird before he got in MMA, right? Fedor Emelianenko's brother was strange before he got into MMA, right? So these are the honorable mentions. You know, Ryan Hall. I wouldn't consider Ryan Hall as strange. Ryan Hall is just an introvert, and so he might fall into that because he's just so introverted. He doesn't want to almost fight. He doesn't want to deal with people. So he's not. It's not fair to throw him in here as with these other weirdos. It's not really that fair. Jordan Levitt to an extent, but Jordan Levitt as an MMA fighter is a little weird. Other people we could have thrown in here were like Michel Pieta. I met Michel Pieta. Thank God he didn't kick my ass. I didn't think he was that weird. He might fight weird. He didn't seem strange. But what about our boy who's a Walker? You know, whose brother fought today. Johnny Walker was a stripper. Was a little weird. Male stripper, dancer. Is stripping weird? Yeah, it's a little weird. Like, so Johnny Walker could have been on this list. Bobby Green went to prison, had some issues. There are a lot of guys. We could have made a list of just MMA fighters that went to jail. But again, going to jail doesn't make you weird, but changing your name to Bobby King to King, you're just King Green. You're no longer Bobby Green. You're King Green. Little strange. We're gonna go through the list here, but yeah, those are some of the honorable mentions. Some shouldn't have been smoking, like John Kopenhauer. Yeah, that dude is weird, man. That dude is weird, right? I could have even thrown Roy Nelson in here as a weirdo, but he's just awkward. Him, as well as the winner just recently of BKFC, their heavyweight champion. Let me see who he is again. What's his name? Goddamn. BKFC. Not Nelson. Our boy, he was in the UFC. He still could be considered weird, but he isn't that weird. Let's see. Ben Rothwell. Yes, Ben Rothwell could be considered a weirdo, right? He's just awkward. I think he's more awkward, socially awkward than a weirdo. And I would think that weirdo would entail more than someone being socially awkward, right? Weirdo has to have some kind of action where you're involved with people that you're doing just different stuff. It isn't just drug related. The drugs help the weirdo come out. We all know what the alcohol and the drugs do to most of us, right? Like your inhibitions are gone, sort of the locks and chains are gone, and your true self or most of yourself comes out when you are under the influence of drugs. So some of these folks, and that's going to be an interesting argument. I mean, are a few of these people just strange or weird because they're on drugs now and they're acting out on that? Like Mayhem Miller. Maybe Mayhem Miller, I doubt it. Mayhem Miller, I'd assume that boy is strange. He did the bully thing, which is acting. He always had the weird faces. I bet growing up, Mayhem Miller was a little bit of a strange boy. And to be honest, Mayhem Miller might have been one of those fighters as when he was younger that I would. And then you see what he did in Era Hawani, but that was post, when even being young. But Mayhem Miller, when I was a younger person, as well as even like people like, there are a few people on this list here that when I was younger, I would fuck with. I would love to go and create some chaos with. You know, I'd like to make some snowballs and throw at people with, just fun stuff, right? Do some silly things of make like shit turds and throw shit turds at somebody's house or just something goofy. There's a lot of people here that I would still like to hang out and party with, right? That to this day, that whether I'm sober or not, I would like to just hang out with them. Or maybe I'd make an exception for them in terms of like what my partying is, But off of here, yes, there will be a couple criminals on the list. I know another criminal, and I don't think of Jorge Masvidal as a weirdo. He's a criminal. He is a little bit strange. He's just a little ghetto. He's got that little, you can't take the ghetto out of people. He's just a little street. He's not weird. He seems fairly normal. He does some messed up things, I think, probably in his personal life. So Jorge Masvidal was off of this list. And then so were a lot of other older... fighter. So let's get to this. Let's get to some of these guys. Let me get myself smaller here. All right, we'll get myself smaller here, and then we'll get to. Is that there? Yeah, slideshow. Boom. And let's get the banner down. Whoa, what is going on here? Where's my banner? Banner. Oh, okay, the coffee talk is still on there. Where is the... No, I don't want that. Why isn't... Why aren't we showing... Alright, I don't know why that worked there. Whoa. Let's go backwards. Alright, whoa. Alright, yeah. Alright, well, let me show myself here. Let me get myself in here. There we go. Put myself above. No, I gotta put myself below. I can't adjust that. About better. Okay. Or above. Yeah. Like and subscribe, people. Alright, there we go. There we go. That looks cool. We're doing it, people. We're doing it. Alright. First off, Ian Cutelaba. Man, I met Ian Cutelaba. We stayed away from Ian Cutelaba. I saw him in the real world, in the environment, at the Fighters Hotel, and all the fighters stayed away from this guy. Ian Cutelaba was walking around like he wanted to beat the shit out of anyone that would. You didn't want to come up to him and talk to him and say, "Hey, Ian, I'm a fan." He was great after the event. He was fantastic. You saw after he got his fucking blood on and beat the shit out of somebody. He was in the stands. He ended up sitting down and watching the fight, which was cool as fucking hell. Like, he stayed with the fans, drinking beers, hanging out, which I couldn't believe Dana let him do. But in the hotel room, this dude was walking around like he was not just stalking his opponent. He was fighting the Canadian guy. Forget the Canadian guy that he was fighting that he fucked up. But the dude was walking around like he wanted to fuck up. He wanted to fuck somebody up, man. This guy was just like serious about that life. Right, he was not looking friendly. He was drinking some water, and he had his face on him like he just wanted to hurt people. Nobody said hello to him. He was with no coaches. Everybody kept their ground away from this guy, and you could tell. Besides just being, he's just a weirdo. Like, nobody wanted to talk to him. No, not friendly, not professional. He had that criminal tendency. Like, this dude is gonna scrap and beat. He was willing to beat the shit out of anybody just to beat the shit out of them. Does having a violent tendency mean that you are a weirdo? Not necessarily, but the way this guy walked around the hotel room, or I should say the hotel restaurant, after, when weigh-ins were over, this guy seemed really weird. We've seen it, of course, in the weigh-ins where he always got to make physical contact with people. He wears the Hulk thing. It's not just a gimmick. Like, his attitude of not liking people, of wearing, I think he wears the Hulk thing because he just doesn't like himself. The dude is strange. And he's a badass. Like, out of somebody that, like, he's one of those dudes, like, oh, who would you want in your corner if there's a street fight? Ian Cutelaba is one of those dudes because he wants to scrap. He just wants to get in and mix it up with somebody. The guy is, it doesn't matter how tough he is, the dude is scary. Like, I think he's scared other MMA fighters. I think he's scared the coaches. I think he's scared the UFC. And it's because he's weird. It's not just he's violent. He's just unpredictable. He looks like he just wants to kill everyone when he's just in his downtime. And the dude just seems weird. Like, he definitely has to be on this list. And if you ever get the chance of meeting him, he seems really nice. Once he's done fighting, I would suggest meet him once he's done fighting. You meet him before your fight, you might get the guy in a lot of trouble. He might end up going to jail. Something bad might happen to him, right? Like the dude is like, like I doubt Crazy Horse is the same. Mayhem Miller has calmed down. A lot of these guys have like, released themselves from it. There's somebody else coming up on this list that probably is like Kuchilaba. They just can't help themselves, right? Like that who did I mention more street? Yeah, like Jorge Masvidal. Like Masvidal is one of those people too. Like it seems like he has a short fuse. Like you say the wrong thing to Masvidal in some way, something comes out. The dude might cap on you. Ian Cutelaba is that guy. So Ian Cutelaba is the first person that I'm going to mention on that. All right, another person. I don't know if it's shtick or not, but even the shtick is beyond corny, right? It's weird. The guy is strange. He's always in character. And I bet even actually, no, recently I saw something where he was talking to Usman and right away he let Usman know, hey, I'm in character because there's a camera there, right? So I'm in character. So it's tough to separate the character from the fighter here. But acting like a character constantly on and off camera, even when you're sort of off time and you still sort of embrace the character, is a little weird. Talking the way he does, mentioning the things about fighters that he does is a little weird, right? Is he projecting things that are reflective of the truth of himself, both personally, sexually, politically, and in his life? Like he's willing to spill the beans, to spill the coffee. We're going to go get some more coffee. I'm going to get coffee and I'm going to use the washroom. Have some coffee. We'll feel better. We're going to talk about this. We're going to finish off this thing here and we'll see how far we go. But I am the Bout Better. If you made it this far, you are Bout Better. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you like the content. If you don't like the content, that's all right. Let me know what you're feeling in the comments section. Who's your weirdo fighter? Let me get some coffee. Let me get this going. We're going to keep this going, people. Have some coffee, people. You'll feel better. So, yeah, like Kobe Covington, I mean, besides being one of the king of cringe, I just think that part of his facade is part real. I think that he's playing a character that is reflective of his real personality. And a lot of times, even wrestlers do that. They actually have that in their personality. Hulk Hogan was really like Hulk Hogan. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin really has elements of being Stone Cold. The Rock they grab these elements from their actual self, from their personalities, from their real personalities. So Kobe Covington, he, with the women, the cringe with the girls, like, and you saw at this event, he had some woman with him. It's not like we don't know about him. I think we do. I think he's a tell. And the way he behaves as his character in the UFC tells on his personality, and it's strange. It's not just to be a MAGA head and to be all in the Trump, but to talk about the things that he does, to behave. I mean, he wears the crazy costumes, and again, a lot of that is shtick, right? The crazy clothing, the crazy commentating at the press conferences. But if we didn't have that, we wouldn't love Kobe. I mean, it makes him sellable. It makes him who he is. It makes him marketable. Still nobody in the chat, man. This is, YouTube. It's okay, YouTube. I'm going to still make this content for you. Nobody's going to watch it, but we're here. We're here. When they find us, we're here. We're here, YouTube. We're here, MMA fans. We're here, fighters. When you find me and you come see me. Actually, no, I'm not going to say come see me. Hell no. Some of these guys, you don't want to come see you. Kobe Covington might be one of those dudes also that you don't want to see you. As sane as he might seem sometimes off camera, all these guys being weirdos, I think off camera, with the exception, I mentioned Jordan Levitt. I don't think Jordan Levitt's going to be dangerous off camera. He's not going to do anything weird to you or harm you potentially. And there's a difference on this list too. Most of these weirdos they're all very dangerous, but most of these weirdos will not act. Most will not act violently towards you. Most. Ian Cutelaba, the last guy we had, he will act violent towards you. I mentioned Michel Pieta. I hugged him. I fucking caressed him, said some things to him. Michel Pieta was honorable mention. Probably won't do anything to you. He's just not, seemed like a nice guy. Johnny Walker, same thing. Weird, strange. You could dance with him. You could hang out with him. But he's probably, at heart, even though he's a little strange, he's a nice person. Right? Ryan Hall, another honorable mention weirdo that I did mention earlier, not going to harm you, man. He just doesn't want to deal with you. And I would say that's the case with like Michel Pieta, as well as Johnny Walker, and a lot of these other people, like even Diego Sanchez, probably wouldn't want to deal with you, right? There's a lot of people that could have made this list that they don't want. Like Chris Lieben, probably super nice now, and he is. Like he's a MMA judge now. Great person. I don't know how that Junie, what was Junie's name from The Ultimate Fighter, his last name? I wonder what he's doing, him and his brother right now. Junie was definitely a weirdo. Again, different weirdo than criminal, and having more of, what should I say, sociopathic, or actually, no, you're a weirdo if you're a sociopath. And that's, all right, going back to Kobe Covington, I think, again, every accusation, every play that he's putting on is an admission on his own character and on his own identity. And it's a little strange. It's a little strange. The things that he says about other men, the put downs that he makes, the things that he talks about, puts him on this list. He's a little strange. So we'll put Kobe Covington on that list. Man, I mean, I hate this to be the case, because I was asking some friends, like, who'd you want to party with, right? And there are a few people on this list that I would party with. Like, I'd fuck with Nick Diaz. I'd love to party with Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz and I could have tequila, play with our nunchucks, and smoke weed for fucking hours. I would love to walk around with Nick Diaz just to get his impression of things. Nick Diaz is another person. Is he weird, or is he just socially awkward? They're sort of both hand in hand, but playing with nunchucks, willing to take Rampage Women's Girl, drinking tequila as he's doing the nunchucks, can be a little weird. Or is it just fun, right? Like, but Nick Diaz, another one of those guys, I bet, when you're around, you watch your P's and Q's. Watch what you say to the guy, because he might attack you. He might punch you in the face. Shit, he might punch me in the face for talking about this. But I don't know if you guys have seen videos of him, and it could be just alcoholism and drug addiction, right? Like where he's walking around just with the fan. He's walking around Vegas, hanging out chummy with the guy, and that's why you gotta love Nick Diaz, because if he's in a good mood, Nick Diaz is a fucking fabulous guy. Gotta be so much fun to hang around with. Cool, will have your back, friendly, funny as hell, gonna smoke weed with you, gonna give you a bottle of shot. Hey, have a shot, But when he's not on that side, and he wants to kill you, when he tells you, fuck you, George St. Pierre, you're ducking me, podcast by night, Joe Rogan all day, train all day, Joe Rogan by night, just what a character. I almost felt bad for putting him here as, to an extent, as a weirdo, but the boy is strange, right? Like, there isn't much. In fact, he might be a stranger person outside of the ring than he is inside of the ring, because he's shown us inside the ring, and a lot of it is just his disdain for order. Like, he's just a rebel, his disdain for authority and order. And because he's been, somewhat victimized and been accused by the NASDAQ, all these organizations that are fighting him, fucking up his career. The UFC fucked up his career, I think mainly with matchmaking. They did not do, and it wasn't Dana. Was it Dana? No, it wasn't Dana. I forgot the other dude who wasn't even had any fight history, who was doing the matchmaking for Dana White in the early UFC days. So there isn't an order to this, but there is to an extent. So Nick Diaz, definitely a weirdo, but he's a fun weirdo. He's somebody you want to party with, you want to be there, you want in your corner. And yes, he could be dangerous. Can hurt you, right? Even me talking about this, he might come looking for me, right? But Nick Diaz is one of those fun weirdos. I don't think he's that deviant, although it can get there. It can get there, right? But they like that one thing where he showed his restraint a few times. He's shown his restraint. Like there was an auto accident one time, and it seemed like Nick Diaz was the only person who was the voice of reason in that area. So, but still strange because he's just a strange guy. I think he suffers, like from a lack of confidence. Ironically, like personal confidence, even though he could beat the shit out of people, there are just elements to him that make him strange because he's socially awkward because of that lack of confidence, insecurity. He's insecure in some way. And that's just my opinion. And that insecurity, I think, shows, it comes out in his awkwardness. He's in his interviews. He used to not interview people. He didn't want to interview people, which isn't weird in itself. But when you're in the fight game and you're into promoting yourself, you got to do those things. So he made this list, even though, like, he's one of those fighters. Him and Nate Diaz, him and his brother, I would love to party with those dudes, love to hang with those guys because it's got to be a lot of fun. Like, they're going to have fun. They're going to, have a good time. But they're on the scale, the weirdo scale. They're there. So we're done with the Diaz brothers. Let's get to, oh, my God. Mike Perry. Mike Perry could be the weirdest MMA fighter out there right now if it wasn't for some of these other people just continuing to fuck up and show that they are weirder than Mike Perry. But Mike Perry with the chicken dance, right? The N-word talk, right? Like he's an N-word and he could use the N-word. Beating up old men in bars. He's not the only guy that's beating up old men in restaurants and bars. When he had the Platinum Princess, it was almost like a wrestling thing where he was out there with the Platinum Princess. There was Mike Perry out there skateboarding, falling down, going to, having UFC with no corner, getting into a brawl with the, let me bang, bro, let me bang. I want to bang, I'll let you bang. Like, Mike Perry, hey, if somebody's in the stream right now, but nobody's actually commentating. But welcome, Bout Betters. But yeah, Mike Perry, where there is no separation. With Mike Perry, there is no separation of the shtick that's in the octagon or the BKFC square circle or his real personality. There is no filter with this guy. What you see is what you get, and it's the same person in there. So that scares the shit out of me because you don't know what you're going to be getting out of Mike Perry and what Mike Perry, and both of Mike Perry's are scary as well as strange, right? Guy calls it like he sees it, fucks with people, does some weird stuff, like not like sexually, but socially just is weird, right? And again, I think a lot of this has to do with his upbringing. I think that really a lot of it is just insecure. Mike Perry just wants to be loved. He wants to be loved, man. Let me be loved, man. I think that he's just somebody reaching out there that he loves the attention, which is great. And, again, had a harsh upbringing. I think it isn't Mike Perry. Yeah, he's another jail guy, has been to jail, right? Nick Diaz, I don't think was a criminal. I don't think that Kobe Covington was a criminal. I don't know about Ian Cutelaba if he was a criminal, but Mike Perry has served some time, has gone to jail for like minor shit like theft. Right, like stealing shit. Claims that he went to an all-black school, right? So he's grown up. I think he wasn't raised by his family, his mother and father. So, a tough upbringing, and the upbringing as well as, I think, not just the upbringing, but the lifestyle that he has. Obviously, drinking and doing stuff, right? Like we've seen that before, where he's drinking and he's getting into it. The thing with the, I let me bang guy, that wasn't his fault, but he's willing to bang. It shows like besides just fighting, there is no separation from the character and the shtick and the behaviors in the octagon, that brand, and then his personality and character outside. There is no difference. Mike Perry is, beyond a loose cannon, isn't somebody that you want to mess with, right? Like you don't want to, he's awkward. He's awkward. You want to keep your distance, just like Ian Cutelaba. But he's also one of those guys that's so friendly, has that soft side, sort of like Nick Diaz, that if you treat him right, like you come at him correctly, man, he could be probably the coolest motherfucker around. He might pass you the joint, just like Nate and Nick Diaz might do. But he might decide he wants to be the chicken dance, and he might want to break dance. He might want to, he's just a strange guy, right? He's got a nice house, but he does some strange stuff, and he's both career wise and somebody that's a little strange. I just find him a little strange, and so therefore he made this list. But another person that I might want to party with. Oh, all right. So, are we already there? Are we already there? Yeah, I didn't put these in order. I guess I messed up because Tony Ferguson, Mike, could be one of the weirdest fighters. And again, I with Tony, I don't. Let's discuss CTE even with Mike Perry and some of these folks, and I'm surprised that we're already on him because. Did I put them? Yeah, they're on here too, but they're not as weird as Tony Ferguson. I mean, Tony Ferguson doing the Wing Chun, bringing the baseball and the baseball batting gloves because he was a baseball player with his and wearing the sunglasses, which eventually got him injured, so he couldn't fight the Eagle, so he couldn't fight. I'm all my drinking and stuff. My memory, even my short-term memory is gone, right? So that he tripped over a cable, which derailed his career, right? So he had issues with his family, and I don't want to really get into that stuff. There probably is something there that, which to his defense and true to his character, that he did seek help, right? Tony reached out. He did get help for his issues because he wants his family. He's got a family. He wants to live a good life, and he deserves it, right? Like, great fighter. It's fucked that Tony Ferguson got fucked by the UFC. The UFC fucked Tony Ferguson. Dude had a 12-fight win streak, didn't see a championship. Leon Edwards almost got fucked too, right? Like, Leon Edwards had to win 8 straight fights or 9 straight fights or whatever in order to see a championship. And then they give championship fights to Ilia Topuria, fucking Piera. Like, they win 3 fights and they got a championship. Sean O'Malley wins like 4 fights, he gets a championship, right? Like, Dvalishvili could have been on this list too. Merab Dvalishvili could have been on this on a weirdo, but I just think he's just a happy-go-lucky. Not a weirdo, just a happy-go-lucky guy. But he could have been fucked by the UFC too. They did not want to give him a championship. And El Cucuy, thus a strange name in itself too, El Cucuy, is a strange guy. Wasn't as strange. Oh, no, wait. When we go to the tough days, that was alcohol, though. Like, said some things, and people said stuff to him. Obviously there's some trauma there from the past. He was a bartender as well, but there was trauma there, I think, in the past and currently that he had to address that was affecting him. And it's been obvious for a long time why he's going to the GFL, the grandfather, the grumpy fight league or whatever. I wouldn't understand. It's a shame. But I think we don't have to argue that some of his talk of, like, I'm going to ankle pick you when he was talking to the all-time Hall of Famer heavyweight when they're in a press conference, and he's always with the sunglasses, right? I'm surprised they don't have sunglasses with him here right now. Again, one of those people where I don't think there is like Mike Perry, like Ian Cutelaba, where there is no separation from the character that he's playing in front of you on the camera when you see him in the UFC press conferences, and then the character that he really is. His actual persona, I think, are the same, one and the same. He's just a little off. Is it CTE? It could be, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm just making this list. Tony Ferguson, another one of those dudes I might want to party with. I'd love to train or train with. Like, he seems like a person like I'd want to train with him because he does. And I know Sean O'Malley made fun of him all that training, but a lot of that training is fun. We're going to work the dummies. We're going to, we're going to do some biking. We're going to do some crazy running. We're going to go up some hills. We're going to do some, you know, strange stuff or different stuff. And I love that about Tony Ferguson. I really wish the best for him. I'm glad that he did find help, and I'm glad that he isn't in a room full of soft walls, that he isn't medicated, that he isn't in jail, right? And that's the same. Well, Mike Perry, it's a different story there. That my guy might get there at some point, right? Like, I don't think Ian Cutelaba might get there at some point. Even Nick Diaz, even though he's not just, they have that other social thing there where I think, from what I gather, Ferguson at least has addressed that there is a problem. At least went to some form of treatment, so, talked to some people, got some help, and hopefully he's getting help. But he's definitely on this list. I mean, the gloves, the talk about, the sunglasses, the training methods, just again, I just think was fucked by the UFC in terms of his career. Went from potentially having a championship fight to playing gatekeeper for Paddy Pimblett, who, did I put Paddy on this list? I think Paddy's on here as a weirdo too, because his boy's just strange. He's just a strange bloke, right? He's just a strange guy, but not that strange. Not as strange as Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson, as a legend, God bless his soul, strange man. All right, so here we got double, and I think these guys should have been behind some of these other people, but we have Khamzat Chimaev and Kevin Holland. Khamzat is just a weirdo because he's a weirdo. Like, I don't know if he's a phony, like hanging out with the weird dictator buddy that he has. I like that he's dancing and he's a man of the people, and so sort of Kevin Holland too. But Kevin Holland is a strange boy. From beating up people in the streets, stopping robberies, going on the Jackson podcast and fucking willing to scrap with Rampage Jackson. Not afraid of him. But crazy outfit, talking about shooting guns and hunting. Is Holland another guy that's been to jail? I don't know. But he seems like he could have, and he just seems awkward. He doesn't seem ghetto. He doesn't, he just is awkward, right? And I think Chimaev is the same way. They're both awkward. They have a strangeness to them. I think if you approach them, they would both probably ignore you, right? But around other fighters, and you see Chimaev like that, Chimaev's like Ian Cutelaba. He's one of those dudes, oh, I should have put him on this list too, because he's a strange one. The one that the guy that walked up Chimaev, the African-American dude who's starching people right now, who fought Kevin Holland. God, what's his name? I'm horrible at this. But again, there isn't an order to this, because El Kukui definitely, as well as Mike Perry, would be up there in my top 5. In terms of current UFC fighters, or they could be in the UFC, those two, Mike Perry and Tony Ferguson, are definitely in my top 5, rounding out my top 5 to be exact, if we had to just put them in order. But Kevin Holland and Khamzat, they're more on the lower tier of weird. I think each just plays into it, not necessarily, but not necessarily. I think Kevin Holland is one of those attention seekers. Khamzat isn't, to an extent. Khamzat just, is he playing the psycho guy, or is he a little psycho? I think he is a little psycho. Could it be from his cleft lip, where he's developed a chip on his shoulder? Again, nobody in my fucking stream. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. I appreciate you. I appreciate you trying to push me and help me. I'm going to have some coffee and feel better, YouTube. I'm going to tears of joy, YouTube, for not supporting me and helping me. But that's okay. You motivate me to make more content, get better, be about better, and continue producing this stuff. So have some coffee. You'll feel better. Appreciate it, YouTube. These two guys, I mean, Kevin Holland beating the shit out of people in the streets, stopping robbers like a fucking superhero. But I don't think he is a superhero. I just think he wants to scrap. Same with Kamzat. Kamzat, and they're like Ayan Kutilaba. They are looking for an excuse to beat somebody up, which makes you a little bit of a weirdo. Or does it just make you a violent person? I don't know. I'm not going to go there, but both these guys are on my weirdo list. Would I party with either of these dudes? Probably not. Kamzat I wouldn't want to party with. Kevin Holland, no. No, I mean, I should, Izzy could have Adesanya could have maybe made this list. Adesanya's a little strange. There's things about Adesanya that could have put him on this list. It just seems like an awkward young man. I'd party with him. I'd party with Adesanya more than I don't know. Kevin Holland just seems like he might get sick of you and he might beat the shit out of me. All these guys would probably beat the shit out of me. Although Michel Pieta didn't, so neither here nor there. But yeah, so that we're making that list. Where are we at here? We're at the 45-minute mark. I could definitely make this into the hour mark. Okay. If we were putting this in a list, like, of where they're at, Mitchell would be just at, like, maybe number 6. He'd almost make the top 5. Rampage Jackson said it best at the beginning of the Jackson podcast. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Bryce Mitchell? He should know better. Thug Nasty, Crazy Arkansas. He's a hillbilly. Like, what is it that is he a weirdo or is he just a hillbilly? I'm going to say he probably shouldn't necessarily be here on this list because he's not a weirdo per se. He's just a dumb hillbilly. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, not the brightest crayon in the box, right? That's just not him. Like, his wheelhouse is not to be going to university and working on his notes and taking tests and shit like that. That's not Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell wants to fucking milk the goat, kill some chickens, sleep with his dogs, right? He wants to carry some logs, build a swamp. He wants to go mudding, right? Which isn't weird. The flat earth stuff doesn't make him weird, but the stuff with the Holocaust denial, the whole stuff with Hitler is just weird, right? Is he embracing racism? That's not for me to say. Is he embracing stuff? I don't care about embracing the right, the whole MAGA thing. That's irrelevant. That doesn't make you weird. But looking into and doing your own research and being a flat earther and this conspiracy theorist, nowadays that doesn't make you weird. It just makes you stupid. Right? So Bryce Mitchell, he's weird because he's stupid. Right? He's not the brightest guy, and that makes him weird. Whereas, like, compared to Mike Perry is the sane one. I can't believe I'm saying that, because Mike Perry is not stupid. He's just awkward. Mike Perry you might think he's stupid, and even Bryce Mitchell, you might, he just because he's able to build a chicken coop or drain a swamp or build this or make that, doesn't make you a genius, right? There's just something about Bryce Mitchell. Like, I think that who's weirder, him or Mike Perry? They're both right there. And I would say Mike Perry is weirder, but in a good way. Like, he's naturally weird, where I think Bryce Mitchell is just being led astray. He's just taught himself how to just be dumb. And it's costing him, right? And Dana's going to give him a fucking hell of a fight next 2 fights. Mitchell's not getting who he wants. Mitchell's getting some fucking demons. He's going to get some... He going to get... he already fought Taporia, but he's not getting somebody easy. Like, Dana was not happy with... He's going to say, yeah, free speech, but at the same time, he probably said the same thing to Bryce Mitchell on a phone call that Rampage Jackson said. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And you could tell that. How awkward he was when he went on that Jackson podcast. You could already tell that somebody ripped him a new asshole. And it was probably Dana White. Dana probably said, hey, Bryce, I made you your goddamn shorts. You're a fan favorite. Why are you fucking this up? Right? Like, you are fucking up. Right? That's what was told. So Mitchell's tough to put here because, like I said, and he's up there because right now he's showing how weird he can be, and I just don't think it's weird per se. I just think he's stupid. Sorry, Bryce, you're a dummy, right, Bryce? And you could come at me all you want, but Bryce, you don't know how to use this software. I could know how to use a computer. There's a lot of things there. You want to think that I'm a dummy, and it's like, no, dude, I went to school. I could actually still write shit. I could write an essay. I don't need to fucking go on ChatGPT and fucking write out something. I could actually still do shit, write shit, learn shit. Whereas Bryce Mitchell doesn't want to do that. Who knows what he does with his animals? But then again, I don't think he's weird per se. I just think he's dumb. But he still makes this list because he's talking dumb, weird shit. So he's got to be on this list. So Bryce Mitchell, I hope you find something better. I hope listen to your mom. Hope you get closer to God and your family in the right way. Start doing some good things and get your career. Focus on your career, brother. Young, talented. Too much of this external shit, bro. And he's one of those people that are suffering. A lot of these folks, especially Bryce Mitchell and people like Kobe Covington, the externals fucking them up, right? That character and some of the things that are doing that is somewhat extracurricular outside of their fighting is fucking them up, right? I can't say that for Khamzat, and to an extent Khamzat, but like even Kevin Holland, not really. Nick and Nate Diaz, those people I think at their core are a little weird. I don't think at the core Bryce Mitchell's weird, and I said why. I just think he's just stupid, but he acts weird because he is stupid. So, there we go there. All right, we're in the top 3. Probably you could mix and match any of these guys, and if there is no argument here, there is no argument from throwing goddamn dollies into the goddamn bus, from beating up an old man at a bar because he doesn't take a shot with you, from having hotel affairs where supposedly he's engaged with a tampon, right? From clutching his teeth when he's on GQ with Jake Gyllenhaal promoting a movie, right? From playing touch butt in the park, right? From showing up to every press conference, wearing crazy, mink coats. Where is not Conor McGregor a strange lad, right? Where is he not? And here's the problem. Here's one of those people, like, I don't think Conor was raised this way. It's when this is where Conor was not a weird kid, not a weird man before, even when he was in Cage Warriors, or what's it called? The Cage Rage, the English promotion. He was normal. This is an instance where the money made you weird. You got money, and the money made you weird, made you strange, right? And Conor McGregor, strange boy. Now even more so. Doing the BKFC, when he's announcing the BKFC, how awkward he is there. We've seen the interviews where he was like, oh, I'm not having this pint, where he's promoting his new stout, like the stout, and he's fucking, you could tell he's lipping at the lip to have that. And here's the other thing about him is the dude needs an intervention. Is it the drug addiction and the drugs that are making him weird? Is it the money that's making him weird? I think a lot of it is the drugs. I think he needs to step away from the alcohol and the drugs. There needs to be an intervention, because there's 2 things that are going to happen, and 2 of them are going to happen concurrently. Conor McGregor will eventually go to jail. If he does not stop doing drugs, he's going to jail. And once he goes to jail, maybe he quits the drug addiction and the alcohol. Maybe, but that's 2 things are inevitable with him. Eventually, this is going to happen. And it could happen with a couple other people on this list. That prison is imminent. Just because you're rich and powerful, not all rich people and powerful people escape the long arm of the law. And when you're, and here's the thing is, like, is he behaving weird because he is weird, or is he behaving weird because he's on drugs? And I'm going to say the latter. I'm going to say that Conor McGregor without the drugs is a sane, probably a fantastic person. Like when he did the community service and he had to go to this church, and they had him cleaning up the church, and cleaning up the community center that was part of the church. And in the way he talked about it, you could tell that he's a good person at heart. Like, he's a good person. He grew up with a mother and father who seemed like very nice people, great working class people, came from a decent family. Yeah, was his life pretty hard? Maybe, yeah, but just comes from a good background, not really a horrible person. We saw this early in his career. Yeah, was he flamboyant? Yes, but just not doing the things that he's been doing lately, right? The actions that he's taken, spitting on people, right? Go and spit on somebody. Let me go get some more coffee. Drink some coffee. You'll feel better. And we're close to that hour mark, so we're getting close to there. Nobody's in the chat as usual. That's okay. We're gonna post this. Drink some coffee. You'll feel better. Drink some coffee. You'll feel better. Come on, have some coffee with the Bout Better. Gyms and coffee. Think about these things. Think about the other weirdos in the MMA sphere, and there's a lot of them. Like, if we made a list of all the weirdos in MMA, both on the journalistic side as well as the fighter side, we could go for a long time, guys. Because, like I said, you have to be a weirdo to participate in this sport. Like, look at the schmo. Right, actually, the small off camera seems pretty normal, but then again, you got to be a little bit of a strange guy to play a character like the schmo. Angela Lee seems like a weirdo. She seems like you get some fake parts. I don't know if she's a weirdo or just a wannabe. Right, the young girl that's doing social media for the UFC currently, a little strange, a little bit of a weirdo. Right, some of the folks that are on the positive sides, like Sanko, not a weirdo. Felder, not a weirdo. You look at the commentators. Goldie's a little. Oh, Buffer. Bruce Buffer, weirdo. Buffer, weirdo, man. He's definitely in the weirdo category. Not even in the closet. In the closet's a ton of suits and all those suits and that personality. But yeah, it's flamboyant personality, but he's a weirdo. Right? So this list, if we look at people that are involved in the UFC that are weirdos, can be very long. And could we add Dana White in there? Is Dana White, can he be? The way he interacts with fighters, the things that he says, the gambling, he hangs out with the weird social media people, right? With the Nelk boys and with the other guy that Vladdy or whatever his name is, that does the stupid shit. The stuff with his wife, right? And Cabo, just not the most normal person. Whatever his past is in there, it just doesn't seem like he's 100%. But going back to Conor, spitting on people recently. Crazy talk at the BKFC press conference, right? Driving his boat like a madman. Laughing like a fucking madman. Beating up MGK. I forgot the MGK that he threw a drink at MGK, right? And attacked MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, right? At one of those E! Entertainment or at the Oscars or at Cannes or whatever. Who knows what else he's done? And who else that we know of, right? Who knows, like, there have been binges and we've heard of him at clubs, not just destroying that kid's phone. Like, he had to pay for that. He had to pay for the dolly through the bus, right? Like, another crazy thing. But again, is it that Conor's inherently a weirdo? No. I think it's the alcohol and drugs. The alcohol and drugs makes him act out in a way that is not just a weirdo. It's somewhat psychotic. It's sociopathic. But at heart, I think that with treatment, both socially and mentally, I think he could get over it. I think he's somebody that could overcome and needs to overcome and is not seeking that help because he has so much money. He's got fuck you money. He's got fuck you power, and he could abuse it, and he is abusing it. He's abusing himself. He's abusing the drugs. He's using his money to escape accountability and responsibility for his actions, and it's been working. But eventually, like we saw with the civil case that he had, something's going to happen where he's not going to be able to overcome it. right? I don't know how he overcame even the stuff on the bus. If that was us, if it was a regular person at any of Connor's explosions, spitting at somebody in public, beating up somebody in a bar, think about it. Grabbing somebody's phone and throwing it on the floor. Uh, uh, any of those things, right, would have gotten us arrested. We would face consequences and have accountability. So Connor is strange because, and he should be on this, is because he hasn't. You have to like it. You have to like it, and I think he likes this behavior because he's a little bit of a weirdo, and I think a lot of that is spurred by his drug and alcohol use, not necessarily because he's innately skewed or damaged. I think that maybe now he could be, but is there hope for him? Yeah, because I just don't think that he's innately weird, but maybe it was always there. Maybe I'm wrong and it was always there, and the alcohol and drugs brought us there. So, Conor McGregor, you're a fucking weirdo. All right. I don't know who's coming after this. I guess I have a couple other slides here, but I mean, do we need to say more? Like, for me, John Jones is a fighter I would want to party with, which sounds crazy, but crazy is what crazy does, right? When you're during the pandemic, when you're with your AR and you're stopping riots with your dog and you're going around stopping kids, it's a little weird, right? Go back to the scene of the crime to go, after you ran into a pregnant woman, almost killed somebody, and go back and go back for your drugs, your pipe and your drugs. Is that weird, or is it just sociopathic, right? Are you a criminal, right? Recently, stuff he's talking about online on Instagram, a little strange. Like, here's the thing with John Jones, just like Conor McGregor. Is it weird, or is it a substance abuse problem, right? Like, I think with John Jones, he has a weird tendency. It is there underneath him. Underneath, as you saw, like when he's sober, and even mentioned that he was smoking crack before he fought Daniel Cormier. But like when he threatened Cormier's life, I think he was serious. I think this man is psychotic. I think he really is a sociopath underneath. I think that the drugs bring that out. They exemplify, or they exaggerate, not really exaggerate, they just open that door of who his true self is, but his true self is psychotic, right? And it's another one where, is it weird, or is it he just psychotic? And a lot of these fighters are psychotic, right? Oh, I guess I do have some other people coming up. I have missed somebody that's going to be coming up, but that's okay. John Jones still should have been the pinnacle, or is he the pinnacle of weird? Because again, it's one of those things where I think it's the drugs letting out, the substance abuse, bringing out something that's underneath. That when you scratch the surface, a lot of this is there in another person that has no reason. Like, comes from a great family, has successful brothers, sisters, successful athletes, tons of talent. And he sought help. Maybe he needs that help again. Like, Dana says he doesn't want him in Vegas anymore. Has weird stuff with his wife, goes out on his own. And I think a lot of it is more substance abuse, right? But the substance abuse with him, is he a weirdo? Doing some of the stuff that he does, I think, are socially awkward. I wouldn't want to say that he's a weirdo. I would say that he's more of a sociopath than a weirdo, right? I think that the stuff and that's the same with Conor. I think there's more of the sociopathic tendency than weirdos, but I'm putting him on this list because you're doing weird shit, man. You're doing weird shit, and not just stupid stuff. It's stupid, but you're also doing weird stuff, right? Like, I just think that he's a strange guy, right? One of those people, like, and they have that where he's awkward at the club drinking. He said that, like, MMA Guru is attacking him for being, attacking his sexuality. Could that be his latent, a latent issue of his character that brings out, like, some of these things because he's in denial of stuff? It's possible. But he is somebody, I think, that also needs to go back to treatment, address the substance abuse issues, but more so than the substance abuse, I think he needs to address some of the mental health issues that he has, because there's things there that come out once he is drunk. And I listened to the thing that he had most recently, and where he's always talking about killing people, right? And this is a problem because he can, and he's armed. How in the hell does he still have weapons? Seen drug user, speeding, issues with police officers, history, the accident was well identified. Like, he still has weapons. John Jones is a dangerous person, both physically and he still got weapons. The dude was out there patrolling during the COVID riots, out there patrolling the streets, stopping people with graffiti, stopping people from rioting, like, with a gun, right? Somebody that has a history of substance abuse and abuse, walking around still with a weapon, and that's his wife's fault. Like, there are red flag laws out there, and somebody should have red flagged this guy a long time ago, right? Somebody in his family should, because I hate to say it, but yeah, I think him, like Conor McGregor, that he's been avoiding legal repercussions. He's been avoiding accountability for his actions because he's rich. He paid that woman off, like, that he had an accident with, that he had an auto accident with, that he avoided the scene. He ran away from the scene, right? Went home, got sober, and ended up getting caught later on, or after he returned to the scene to get his drugs and his fucking pipe. But he's avoided accountability and responsibility for that stuff. And, I think that he just needs help. But I think underneath there, besides the sociopathy and him being a little psychotic, the dude's a little weird. There's other stuff there that hints at him being weird, right? Like, and I'm not just saying sexually, I'm just saying, and not just being socially awkward. I mean, that he's willing to engage into these various things. It's just strange. Makes him weird. I mean, has to be on the list. Not just as a criminal, which he should be more of a criminal. People should realize that the dude is a big-time criminal that's been able to escape. Like, Mayhem Miller escaped some of it, but Mayhem Miller, for example, went to jail. Didn't Mayhem Miller go to jail for like a year? Like, Mayhem Miller didn't escape all his psychosis. Rampage Jackson escaped his psychosis. Didn't he run over people with his fucking monster truck? Remember that? Dana bailed him out. A lot of these fighters escape, but I think some of these guys are going to fall into the John Copenhauer of MMA sort of thing. And John Jones is one of those people that, as well as Conor McGregor, that it's going to either be jail or treatment, right? Like, it seems like an inevitability. Like, John Jones with his recent talk, like, somebody, he needs an intervention. Same with Conor McGregor. They need an intervention. They need that treatment, or else it's going to be jail or death from their substance abuse, right? And we haven't seen that recently in MMA, right? Like, it's probably not discussed very much, but we've seen people that have, like, look at Chris Lieben, who's one of my favorite fighters in history. Like, he's overcome thought of him CTE, overcome substance abuse, the drunkenness, his upbringing now he's an MMA judge, great family. Like, he's okay. He's doing well because he acknowledged his issues, went to therapy, went to treatment, worked things out himself, improved his life, is there for his kids and his wife, and is nurturing that, where John Jones has that same thing, but I don't think he's doing it. Same with Conor McGregor. They're still living that life because they still have that fuck you money. And they have that fuck you mentality, and they're still going to be in the weirdo realm because they do weird criminal shit too, weird and criminal shit. So he's got to be there. So should be number one. Him and Conor are number 1, 2. You could interchange them, right? Along with Sean Strickland. And why Sean Strickland should be number 1 is it all that crazy shit Sean Strickland isn't doing when he's high. The dude is not on drugs. The dude is just strange. He's weird. No furniture in his home. He doesn't, busted up shit, doesn't fix it. Right? No toilet paper in the washroom. Right? Like, again, a lot of it is from his upbringing. Strickland, I think, was a jail guy too. I think Strickland went to jail. He committed some low-level crimes when he was younger. That doesn't make him weird. What makes him weird is the stuff that he talks about, not just the homophobia, not just the whole Trump stuff and the discussion of different countries, not just his political stuff. Some of that is shtick, but it isn't. That really is him. So, Sean Strickland is a strange boy. Cool as fuck, right? He's somebody you could go hunting with, and you've seen him in that downtime where he's hiking with a girl, like at the time one of his girlfriends. Like, he's somebody that a good person, somebody good. He, almost like Mike Tyson and his old coach, where Strickland just needs that mentor. He needs to follow somebody that can keep him restrained, right? Both from his actions as well as his mind. Like religion, Christianity might be a good thing for him. He just needs structure. But it's hard because he's a strange boy. Like, he acts more like an ex-con, like a weirdo criminal than most people. Like, I actually think that Sean Strickland, is he stranger than Mike Perry? No. I think Mike Perry might be stranger. Just Sean Strickland is more outspoken politically, but I think Mike Perry might just be at heart a stranger person. But they're peas in the same pod to an extent. I think their upbringing, which has been rough, their history on the streets and socially, which has been rough, has done some damage to them. And what I would say with their weirdness is sort of a playful weirdness. Like, I don't view Sean Strickland as a sociopath or a psychopath, whereas I think of Conor McGregor right now, his path, as well as John Jones' path, is just a little... It's not good. It's not going anywhere really good. They're on the road to nowhere, as this guy would say from the Talking Heads. They're on the road to nowhere. They're on a path that is going to see them in jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So Strickland, I don't think is there. I think he's almost like one of those Kobe Covington, where there isn't a difference between his shtick and his personality, and he's using it right when he's on the stage. But in his real life, I don't think he does a lot of stupid shit, even though he's a little strange, he's a little weird, and he admits it. But sometimes when you acknowledge that you're weird and you acknowledge that you're strange, that's okay. That's a good thing. And some of these guys do. I just don't see, like, Conor McGregor ever acknowledging it. John Jones does, but he doesn't take accountability for his actions and or words or anything else. So Strickland, strange guy, but I think he could get help. Somebody would be fun to hang out with, right? He might offend a bunch of people, but it's tough to see where the shtick is and where it ends, because I bet, like, in his personal life, I bet he's a caring person, very loyal person, strong character when there isn't an audience there. I think he acts out, and he seems like one of those guys that when he was a kid, when he's by himself, he's fine. He's probably be able to make some Legos and do some Legos. But the moment he gets an audience, he's like, let's burn the Legos. let's see if we could get some fireworks and blow this Lego. Let's make a Lego castle and then blow it up. Like, he seems like that kind of a person, right? Like, he's strange when he's with others, but at his own character, his soul, I don't think he's a weirdo. I think it's more of his social anxiety brings out the weirdo in him. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not anything. But yeah, Sean Strickland, definitely in the top 5. I think more so for what he said as opposed to the way he acts out, even though he's been a criminal. If you look at the way people act out, Conor McGregor, John Jones, Mike Perry, Tony Ferguson to an extent. I mean, he's had issues. But a lot of these guys, the main two are, besides weird and criminal, are. And again, there could be other people on this list, but Sean Strickland definitely got to be on this list. And who else is here? Oh, yeah. So he's not number 1. We got to put him on this list. The Juice Boy, Oh, the juice. I mean, him and Strickland, they could just be buddies. Again, I think Paulo Costa is one of those people where I think like socially he's playing up to being weird. Like again, this could have been. I didn't have it really in order, but I did. I don't know how this all worked out like this, but we're gonna finish off with Paulo Costa. Is a strange boy, strange guy with the juice, making the jokes, right? It's awkward appearances, hangs out with the president of Brazil. Him and Adesanya, man, Adesanya doing the Vida Loca to him was a little awkward, right? Again, we could have put Israel Adesanya here, but Paulo Costa, it seems a little strange to me. Seems a little weird, and a lot of it, I think, Paulo Costa is in that Bryce Mitchell realm. Just not the sharpest tools in this shed, right? They just are not the brightest crayons in the box. I think it's just more stupidity, their hope, than anything else. I think they're not necessarily weird per se. They're just not very bright. And, I'll put Paulo Costa in there, right? And he's not the top one. Top one as weird, man, it's got to be John Jones. Him or Connor, but I think Connor is more drug infused. I think John Jones, there's something else there that he's a strange boy, strange puppy, right? And nobody wants to address it and talk about it. But there's, we see it again and again, time and time. And it's not just drug use. There's other stuff there that it makes him a sociopath, right? And being a sociopath doesn't necessarily, yeah, you're a weirdo if you're a sociopath. He just has this tendency and the stuff that he says to, like, Daniel, like he's obsessed with killing somebody, right? And I think that even I think it stems from his own depression as well as from drug use, his own insecurities, ironically or not. That's what I think, right? You don't have to listen to me. I'm not a psychologist or a sociologist or one of those folks, but I think that the man suffers from insecurities, suffers from trauma in some way. I don't know how with his family. I don't know his family history, but there just is something wrong with John Jones. And he's acting out in a weird way, not just socially, but I think spiritually and in his own character. There's something there that beyond weird, beyond strange is dangerous. And if he doesn't get help, just like Conor McGregor, if he doesn't get help, I think eventually they're both going to end up in jail. They're going to do something to themselves or others that's going to cause harm to themselves, that are going to place them in finally getting some accountability and accepting responsibility for their actions, right? So run down back to our weirdos. Conor McGregor, ding, weirdo. Bryce Mitchell, ding, weirdo. Kevin Holland, Khamzat Chimaev, bing, bing, weirdos. And there's more. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, people, right? If you've made it this far, you are about better. Let me know in the comments section who are your weirdos in the UFC and in MMA, because there's more. I know I left some people out. I just got the bigger fish here in the pond. So bing, 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 bing. Bing, 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 bing. Oh, that's not it. Oh, why isn't that there? Come on. Where's my, yeah. Bing. Oh, Tony Ferguson. Bing, 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 bing. Now in the GFL. But bing, 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 bing. Strange boy. Mike Perry. Should be in the top 5, top 3, man. Mike Perry, lovable weirdo, but a weirdo. Bing, 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 bing. Nick Diaz. I'm empathetic towards Nick Diaz as being a weirdo. I'm empathetic. I just hate seeing Nick Diaz be a weirdo. I don't think he's a weirdo. I just think he just doesn't like people, and he's got to do this publicly. But man, Nick Diaz, weirdo. Bang, 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 bang. Kobe Covington. Yeah, weirdo. Sorry, Kobe. playing into the stick and not realizing and not being able to differentiate whether you're playing a character or you are that character. That's weird. So bang, 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 bang. And then Ian Kutilaba, you guys might not be as familiar with this guy, but I don't think that he's just a sociopath, psychopath makes him weird. The dude is, there's something else there that makes him weird. We just don't see it because we're not in this country. So bang, 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 weirdo. Weirdo and Paula Costa, weirdo. Weirdo. So there we go, people. Some of the weirdest people that we have in the UFC, right? Some of the weirdest people, the top 10 or top 15 or whatever we got there. So I am your Bout Better. Thank you for joining us for this discussion here. Have some coffee, you'll feel better. This is I am the Bout Better. You've made it this far. You are a Bout Better. Appreciate anybody that might have come in. Please comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. And